I was sitting on my couch eating a bowl of cereal and watching cartoons when my phone rang. It was a Tuesday morning. I should have been at work, but I wasn't. Because 3 days ago, I was fired. I looked at the caller ID. It was Kyle. Kyle was the new regional manager. He was 26 years old, wore suits that were too tight, and had an MBA that he mentioned in every single conversation. He was also the man who fired me on Friday to trim the fat from the budget. I let it ring. It rang again. And again. Then a text came through saying urgent, pick up, the server is down. I took a sip of my coffee, smiled, and put the phone on do not disturb. You see, Kyle didn't just fire an employee. He fired the only person who knew the password to the kingdom. And now the kingdom was burning. Let me give you some context. I worked for a mid-sized logistics company. Basically, we ship big boxes of car parts across the country. I was the senior systems administrator. That sounds fancy, but really, it meant I was the IT guy who made sure the trucks knew where to go. I had been there for 10 years. I was a legacy hire. My original boss, Dave, was great. He knew I was good at my job, so he let me work my own way. And my way was automation. Over 10 years, I had written hundreds of custom scripts. These were little computer programs that did my work for me. Did a truck need a route? My script did it automatically at 4 o'clock a.m. Did the warehouse need an inventory check? My script ran it at 5 o'clock a.m. Did the payroll system need to sync with the bank? Script. By the time I walked into the office at 9 o'clock a.m., my work was already done. I spent most of my day drinking coffee, checking Reddit, and helping people restart their printers. To an outsider, it looked like I did nothing. And that brings us to Kyle. Dave retired last month. Corporate sent in Kyle. Kyle was a cost cutter. His job was to lower expenses so he could get a bonus. He walked around the office with a clipboard, taking notes on everyone. He watched me for a week. He saw me reading articles. He saw me leaving at exactly 5 p.m. He never saw me working. On Friday afternoon, he called me into his office. He didn't even look up from his laptop. He told me that they were restructuring. He said he had been watching my productivity, and frankly, it was zero. He didn't know what Dave paid me for, but they couldn't afford dead weight. I sat up straight. I told Kyle that I managed the entire backend. The routing, the inventory, the payroll, it was all automated. I monitored the scripts. Kyle scoffed. He said computers do the work, not me. He said they could just hire a junior tech for half my salary to push the buttons. He told me to hand in my badge. I looked at him. I could have fought. I could have showed him the complex code I wrote. But then I remembered I had a severance package. And I was tired of his attitude. So I said okay, but I warned him that those scripts run on my private server account. If he removed my access, they would stop. Kyle laughed. He told me not to try to scare him. He said they had an IT team in India and they would figure it out. He told me to just leave. So I left. And on my way out, I did exactly what he asked. I removed my access. I disabled my admin account, which meant the automated scheduler for Monday morning was turned off. Saturday and Sunday were peaceful. Monday morning was when the bomb went off. I wasn't there, obviously. But my friend Sarah, who works in dispatch, texted me the play-by-play. At 4 o'clock a.m., the trucks were supposed to get their routes. They didn't. 50 drivers were sitting in the parking lot, idling, waiting for instructions. At 6 o'clock a.m., the warehouse manager tried to print the packing slips. The system said error, admin authorization required. By 9 o'clock a.m., the customers were calling asking where their shipments were and why the trucks weren't moving. Kyle came running out of his office screaming. He asked why the system was down and who turned off the internet. He called the IT team in India. They logged in and told him they couldn't access the routing software because it required a two-factor authentication code sent to the administrator's phone. And guess whose phone that was? Mine. That brings us back to Tuesday morning. Kyle called me 12 times. Finally, at noon, I answered. I said hello, sounding sleepy. Kyle screamed at me asking what I did. He said the trucks hadn't moved in 24 hours and they were losing $10,000 an hour. He demanded I fix it. I kept my voice calm. I told him I couldn't. I reminded him that he fired me. I wasn't an employee. It would be illegal for me to access his system. There was a long silence. Then his voice changed. It got small. He admitted he made a mistake. He asked if I could come in and turn it back on. He offered to rehire me at the same salary. I laughed. I said no thanks. I was actually enjoying my time off. He shouted that he would pay me double salary for the day. I paused. I had been waiting for this. I told Kyle that I wasn't coming back as an employee. If he wanted me to fix this, I would come back as an external consultant. He yelled fine and told me to just come in. I stated clearly that my consultant rate is $400 an hour with a minimum of 20 hours billable, and I wanted a retainer check for $8,000 in my hand before I touched a keyboard. I heard him choke. He said that was extortion. I said no. That is the cost of the dead weight you fired. Take it or leave it. I'm going to lunch. I hung up. I went to Subway. I ordered a foot long. I ate it slowly. At 1:30 p.m., my phone rang again. It was the CEO, not Kyle. The big boss. The CEO said Kyle told him they had a situation. I agreed that they did. He said Kyle claimed I was holding the system hostage. I corrected him. I said Kyle fired the system administrator without a transition plan. I was simply offering my services as an independent contractor to fix his mess. The CEO sighed. He knew. He knew exactly what had happened. He asked if he wired the $8,000 now, how long it would take to fix. I said about 5 minutes. He said done and told me to come in. I walked into the office at 3 p.m. The place was in chaos. People were shouting on phones. Kyle was sweating through his tight suit, looking pale. He wouldn't even meet my eyes. I walked to my old desk, which was already empty because they had thrown my stuff in a box. I sat down. I logged in with the emergency contractor credentials the CEO gave me. I opened the terminal. I typed one line of code to start the automation service. I pressed enter. Suddenly the printers started whirring. The screens in dispatch lit up with roots. The warehouse scanners beeped. The room went silent. I stood up and said all fixed. I walked into the CEO's office. He handed me a check for $8,000. Then he looked at Kyle, who was standing in the doorway. The CEO told Kyle to pack his things. Kyle was fired that afternoon. Apparently, losing the company $200,000 in delayed shipments to save an IT guy's salary didn't look good on his quarterly report. The CEO asked me to stay, but I declined. I took my $8,000 plus my severance and took a 3-month vacation. Eventually, they hired the new guys to replace me. Last I heard, they're struggling to figure out how my scripts work. They call me sometimes for help. I always pick up. And I always tell them sure, I can help. My rate is $400 an hour. Have you ever had a boss who fired the wrong person? Or a manager who didn't understand that sitting at a computer is actually work? Let me know your story in the comments, and if you want to see more malicious compliance, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.